My name is Janet Lei-Rossmann. I work as a scientist in biologics at adMare BioInnovations in Vancouver, Canada. adMare works on a number of translational questions addressing human health. Our scope of research spans, all the way from oncology to neurobiology to immunology and rare diseases. So our mission is to kind of translate academic ideas on how to best address those biological questions into a commercial product that can benefit patients. I specifically work on cell therapy, and we are working to address some challenges in solid tumors regarding the administration of cell therapy. My role at adMare is kind of half bench-based. So doing wet lab experiments, I do a lot of flow cytometry, I do a lot of cell culture, and because I'm a virologist and an immunologist by training, so I do a lot of those, of that work. And so I spend maybe half of my days in the lab or designing and analyzing experiments. The other half of my day I spend doing kind of activities related to research and development, but not necessarily working at the bench. So I liaise a lot with our legal team regarding intellectual property, and I also work with our business team to kind of evaluate new ideas that we're going to take on board at adMare. As I said, we work in kind of translating academic ideas into the clinic, and there's a huge amount of research that goes on into academia, and part of our job is kind of to evaluate which ones have the best potential to be translated into a clinical product. So, sitting in on a lot of those meetings, and kind of deciding, which projects to take forward, which projects make the most sense to take forward, and will, lead to something that will benefit patients in the shortest amount of time. Ultimately, I went into science because I thought that if my career can benefit even a single patient, I think it will have been worth it. All those blood, sweat, and tears over the years. So my ultimate goal, and I think the goal of everybody that works at adMare, is to see something that we've built here at adMare, help someone one day and help their families, improve their quality of life. adMare's mission is, not only to help patients, but it is also to build out the Canadian biotech space and build sustainable companies and an ecosystem and talent that can be used to as a further biotech research in Canada, and keep talent here, and also attract talent abroad. So aside from the translation of research into the clinic, we also really are striving to build that ecosystem here at home. So. Translational research, for me, I think really really embodies the concept of taking these really abstract ideas, well, potentially abstract ideas from academia, maybe even in models that were initially not relevant to human health, or not obviously relevant to human health, and bringing those kind of blue sky ideas into something like a product or a device that will make an impact on human or even animal health, or plant health. As a bench scientist, I probably have to say that my strongest skill is probably as a rigorous researcher. That's kind of my job. That's also my personality. So, acquiring data, just making sure that it's robust, and just being curious. In that respect, I am also hoping to grow as a domain expert. I have expertise in some fields, in the fields in which I did my PhD and my postdoc. But of course, building that expertise in a more broader sense, in terms of translational research, is a major goal for me in the next couple of years. In general, I think everybody has, aspects of all of those 7 characteristics. But I think the aspect that I would like to build out the most is probably as a systems thinker. So as an academic, you're pretty siloed for the most part. I would say even as a postdoc, I didn't really consider many of the business or marketing aspects of my research, and the potential impact on intellectual property, for example. And I've never considered any of the challenges regarding manufacturing processes. In that respect, I'm learning a lot at adMare by discussing and interacting with teams outside of the R&D space. I've had some really good conversations with people in the legal team to kind of help understand how the research that we do here can be translated into intellectual property, which then affects kind of business and marketing opportunities. So I think it's a work in progress. I think it will be a work in progress forever. But I'm really enjoying the learning opportunity that I'm getting in those areas outside of, my specific scientific expertise. Being here in Canada, particularly being so close to the US, we do tend to hemorrhage a lot of our talent to the big biotech centers in the US, particularly South San Francisco and Boston. So, that makes it a little bit difficult to kind of interact locally with, the few companies that have kind of managed to grow up here, because there's not really like an infrastructure of support services and contract research organizations. There are a few, but the support system is not as extensive as it would be in some of those American cities. So we do have to outsource quite a lot of work to the US, even though we do try to keep it local. If we have very specific projects or tasks that need to be done, there are often no Canadian options. So I think that's maybe an opportunity for collaboration that doesn't currently exist. And Mari is trying to address this by building out more of an ecosystem and attracting companies to stay here. But I think that's going to be a very, very long work in progress. It won't happen overnight. Yeah, I mean, we're working hard, but it's something that we currently lack. And even though Canada is a huge country, geographically, our population is quite spread out. So even within Canada, I think there are major challenges in terms of logistics, of collaboration between Vancouver and Montreal and Toronto, with time differences and shipping times. Yeah, so I think the best piece of advice, if you're considering a career change from another field into the life sciences, particularly if you want to be a bench scientist, is to get as much wet lab experience as possible. You know, reach out to your network to see whether you can work in somebody's lab. Everybody has to start from the bottom. So if you want to be a bench scientist, there's lab skills that are irreplaceable. So, and that's what employers are looking for when they look at your CV. They want to know whether you've done certain techniques, you know, have handled certain type of cells, or, you know, have done certain types of assays. So the more of those that you can do, the better. And I think the other thing that employers look for, I would say, is a real passion for science. Generally, people can see through, you know, see through people that are not interested really in doing the research. I think scientists really value authenticity. So, you know, pick something that you're genuinely interested in, and yeah, and put a lot of effort into pursuing that. So yeah, and don't hesitate to reach out to people. I think people always love talking about themselves. So I think they're happy if you know, want to meet up for a coffee or something.